veterans in recent times. A lot of our veterans suffered from effectively what was experimentation of new drugs. I was very fortunate in all my deployments to have used the drug doxycycline before these new experimentations came in. But we're now seeing a really significant issue emerging about the effects of those experimental drugs known as the quinolines family, including tefnaquine. Now, I've had long discussions and communications with Stuart McCarthy. He's the president of the Quinine Veterans and Families Group, and also Jane Quinn, Professor Jane Quinn of the Charles Sturt University, who's working with that family group and helping the families and veterans. We really need to see some more vigorous action in this space. We need to really get down to the nuts and bolts of how the big drug companies have been working in this space, because we've got some real suspicions and issues around that. But we need to have a claims process that is cleaned up here. We know the UK are already accepting some claims in this space. It's really the neuropsychological aspects that have to be resolved very quickly now. We need an open and transparent outreach program. That's a cooperative venture between the VVCS, DVA and veterans as soon as possible. We're really keen to work with the government on this issue. We would like to see Darren Chester, the new Minister for Veterans Affairs, meet with Stuart McCarthy and Jane Quinn. There's a lot of material that they've put together which is available to any journalist. It's been sent to the government. Any journalist who would like to reach out to me to get that material, I have copies of it. But this is very serious because we've had issues of perhaps an interconnection with suicides and other neurological problems as well as physiological problems. So this process needs to be resolved. It needs to be open and transparent. We need to engage closely with the veterans groups and the professor and medical experts on this and get it resolved. I've been pleased to work with retired Brigadier Ray Martin up in Townsville on this. He's been really vigorous and hard working on behalf of veterans in this space. And I want to say that the member for Solomon, Luke Gosling, and also other members of Labor have been very engaged on this issue. The member for Herbert in particular, with so many veterans in her space, Kath O'Toole and Shane Newman, have all been very vigorous in working with me and engaging with Amanda Rishworth, our Minister for Veterans Affairs, all really determined to make sure we get a result on this. We're not in government, so that is obviously a big constriction, but we've been happy to try and reach out to ministers in the government. There have been so many of them in the veteran space, so hopefully we get some stability with my good friend, the member for Gippsland, who I know will be, concerned to do the right thing here. Obviously it's a big challenge getting your head around this whole issue with the family of quinoline's medicines. But we should draw on the examples and evidence that's emerging from overseas as well. But we need to do our own inquiry on this, and we need to do it deep, and we need to do it fast. So, we need to see that happening now. I'd really urge the government to engage with Stuart McCarthy and Jane Quinn at the earliest possible opportunity. We really do need to get the Service Medical Review Council review embracing the issues in relation to the support for the veterans and families, but there is a bigger story to be told here that the veterans groups and families are concerned with in relation to how drug companies have operated and various suspicions and concerns about that in relation to the information that's available on the impact and effect of these drugs. We also need Defence to be much more rigorous in how it implements new drugs in these spaces. I know from talking to fellow veterans who, for example, deployed with me to Iraq, people who took some of the drugs that were and vaccinations related to the chemical weapons threat we face there, who suffered from some severe side effects of those. So we need Defence to be really careful with this stuff in the future. We're talking about people here, not guinea pigs. And I think we're all united, probably across both aisles here, on wanting to see something happen urgently in this space.
I thank the member for Eden-Monaro. The question is that this bill be now read a second time. The member for Canberra.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I endorse and support the comments that are just made by the member for Eden-Monaro. As someone who had responsibility for that issue in my last term, in my shadow capacity, I understand the distress and strain that it's causing in sectors of the veteran community, and so endorse the comments made by the member for Eden-Monaro, particularly the call for action by the government. There's been sitting on their hands on this issue for too long, Deputy Speaker, and I support and congratulate the member for Eden-Monaro for that contribution and endorse what he said, particularly because I was involved in this in my shadow capacity in my last term. So here.